Morning. This morning we are going to be looking at the surface area of other composite objects. So we just reviewed this the other day for a cylinder, what it looks like kind of in its net form, so unrolled. You can clearly see the two circles and the rectangle that is formed from them. So 2 pi r squared plus pi dh is your formula. Remember that when you're using this formula, you're actually using the pi button and not 3.14, and you're rounding to what the question is asking you to round to all the time. Please also remember to do them separately and do them in steps. It makes it a lot easier in your final answer when you're removing things because your objects are stacked upon one another. When we had done this as a class, we also had to review how to find the area of a triangle. So most people remember that base times height divided by 2 is your formula, but some people tend to forget that your height has to be at a 90-degree angle from the base. So please do not use the hypotenuse, please do not use the slanted side, but please always use the side that is going straight up. Which does mean that in some cases, like this second example here, if they didn't tell you that height, you may have to do the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing height in order to solve the full question. So if we are working with other shapes other than right rectangular prisms, what do we need to know before we are able to calculate the area of the other shapes? So again, you need to know the formulas for all of your different objects. You need to make sure you're using a base and a height when necessary. And don't forget to include your units of measurement. So triangular prisms are objects that look like this. It could be a doorstop, Toblerone bar, lots of different things. A cylinder, keep in mind that we are only working with right cylinders, which means that the two circles will always be the same size as each other. So not like a Dasani water bottle, but more like a reusable cup that is consistent from top to bottom. So what are face shapes? Are triangular prisms constructed from? So I have blocks on mine, so I can't really see what you have there. Hopefully you can. So triangular prisms are constructed with 2 triangular faces and 3 rectangular faces. And you should know that the formula for an area of a rectangle is base times height, and for a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Side note here says, make sure you have calculated the area for all the faces, then add up all the faces for the total surface area. And then if you are doing a composite shape, make sure that you are not including the faces that you do not see, so the ones that are overlapped. So if we review a cylinder, so the formula for a cylinder is 2 pi r squared plus pi dh. If we are filling it in, it is becoming 2 times pi times 4 squared plus pi times 8 times 16. As you can see, I solved the first half and wrote it down, included a few numbers after, solved the second, once again included a few numbers after to get this. And then here we talked about different ways to round it. So for this first one, if it asked you for the nearest hundredth, this is the answer I'd want. If it asked you for the nearest tenth, this is the correct answer. And if it would have asked you for the nearest whole or the nearest unit, this would have been the correct answer. So please make sure as you're working that you are paying attention to the question and how they are asking you to round. So if we did an example here, so in this case, we have a rectangular prism on the bottom. So you would be solving your rectangular prisms how you had done previously, put them all together. Okay, and then we would have solved the cylinder. Same thing, do each of your steps to set them up. Okay, once you have done all of that, you add everything together, and we got, I think, 818.1946. Now, once we've added it all together, and this is our total number, we need to remove the part that is not visible. So if we're looking at our cylinder, what I'm losing is the bottom of that cylinder, which is a circle, but I'm also losing the same distance from the top of the rectangle as I did from underneath the cylinder. So that actually means that I'm losing 2 circles. So the first half of my formula is actually 2 circles. So I am subtracting the first half, which gives me 717.663, and then we rounded it to the nearest whole. Over here is just different ways that we were rounding numbers, and some students did it working with just 3.14 and pi and seeing if they were getting the same answers. I have a second example. I'm not sure that you have it on yours. So what we did is we built a building. So again, the bottom is a rectangular prism. So the rectangular prism is pretty standard. Again, find all of them, times them by 2, and you get your total. Then for your triangle, please make sure that you're using the height. So I did indicate the height here, which is, there is your height of 4. Okay, so it's base times height, so it becomes 4. The base is also 4, so 4 times 4 divided by 2, 8. Then we're actually timesing it by 2 because we have 2 triangles. I know it's a little repetitive, but it does ensure that you are not skipping any steps or not missing something in the long run. Then in your rectangular prism or triangular prism, you know you have 3 rectangles. In this case, I know that the 2 sides of my roof are identical. So those are a 5 by 6. That's 30, and I have 2, so it's 60. But the bottom of my roof is 4 times 6, which is 24, and there's only one of those. So what you would do is you add them all together, and then you have to remove the part that's not visible. So when I'm removing the part that's not visible, that means I'm removing the bottom of this triangular prism, which we just said was 4 by 6, which is 24. But I also need to remove the same space from underneath it. So I'm actually removing 48. So practice, practice, practice. It is the only thing that will make you an expert at calculating the surface area of composite 3D shapes. Let me know if you have any questions, if anything comes up that you are unsure of, or if you need more examples or details. Have a great day.